Hi, I'm Amelia and welcome to my channel Sew Amelia, where I love to talk about fabric and patterns and sewing and crafting. So if that sounds like something that interests you, then do please keep watching. Today I'm going to share my sewing space. Now this is something I haven't done for a while because I really feel like I've just got it to where I'm happy working up here, and it's all going to change in the next couple of weeks actually. So the room I'm sewing in currently is our guest room. We're very fortunate to have a guest room, and I use it when it's not in use as a guest room for my sewing. It works really well because I can leave projects out and just come and work away at them as and when I have a few moments in my day. But in the next couple of weeks we're starting some work on our loft, and so I'm actually going to lose access to my sewing room. After I finish this video, in fact, I have to pack everything up and to put things away until the works are finished, because this wall is going to be disappearing, which is going to be great for our family, and it will mean that I can have a small sewing room, which is amazing. But it does mean in the meantime I'm going to be moving downstairs to our lounge and sewing in the corner of our lounge room, which is fine. I'm very grateful that I can take possession of a small corner of our lounge for the next 2 or 3 months so that I can keep sewing. It's just so important for my mental health. I love it so much, and I think it'd be really tricky not to be able to just access my machines in some way. So don't worry, I will be sewing, but the backdrop will change. Things will look a bit different for a few months. So bearing that in mind, I thought I would just do a quick tour of where I'm currently sewing, and then hopefully in maybe 3-4 months time I'll be able to do an updated sewing room tour with my new space, but I'll show you the space as it is right now. And then at the end of the video I'll do a quick fabric stash rundown. I've had a few people ask, since I'm planning to sew from my stash this year, what does my stash look like? So at the end of the video I'll do a brief run through of my fabric stash just to show you what I currently have to work with. So I'll start here with my desk. You can see my Faff sewing machine, which I bought for my birthday last year. I've had it about a year now. I would love to do a sewing machine review, but I'm still learning a lot about how it works, and I feel like I haven't explored it fully yet, which is odd. I know I've had it a year. There you go. Then behind me here I have my overlocker, which I love. I just keep these two side by side on this desk. It's quite a small desk, but it's just the right size for these two sewing machines. Then, just behind my head, you can see my Serious Readers light. Now this is one of the things that is definitely moving downstairs to the lounge with me. So downstairs, where I'm moving my sewing things temporarily, it is quite a dark lounge room, and I am sewing in a corner, so not a lot of natural light. So this is going to become really crucial for me over the next couple of months when I'm sewing down in the lounge. So on my desk, beside my machines, I keep my pin tray, my coffee cup. I use this vase for putting in odds and ends of thread and offcuts from my overlocker, which is really handy. And then here I just have a little dish where I keep my snips and my quick unpicks and my needle for threading through the overlocker threads, and then if I ever take a foot off my machine I put it straight into there so I know where it is when it comes to putting it back on my machine. Then in my desk, I love these spool pod trays from Pattern Trace. As you can see, I'm storing a few outside of the trays right now because I don't have enough of these, but I am ordering some more because I absolutely love them for keeping your threads and bobbins together and neat and tidy. And I have my washi tape when I mark my seam allowances on my machine, and my, again, Pattern Trace needle case, which is so useful for keeping everything neat and orderly. Then down here I have some more threads, so ones that I don't use so often or ones that I have bought that I've not yet used. So I always have cream and white ready to put on my machine if I need some more of those. And then I've got this under here, and this is where I keep some of my larger spools of thread, some of my cotton threads if I need those, and my spare bobbins. And then at the very back you can see that is my pleating machine that I use when I make smocked dresses for my daughter. And then I have my manuals for my sewing machines in there in case I need to reach for them while I'm sewing. Then above my machines I just have this beautiful shelf that my husband bought for me, and I use it to display some of the beautiful things that I've got, like these pattern weights that I absolutely love. Then I keep sharp objects up and out of children's reach in here. So this is my awl that I use from time to time. I have my glue pin for my sewing labels, and I have another pair of snips up here. And then this is a lovely container that used to belong to my grandmother, and in that I keep various buttons, which don't usually have very many friends, so I just keep them up there in case I need a button or two. And then up here I have, again, a lighter for finishing off ribbons and things, and I have my pin cushions, which I adore, and then this bowl which has my clips. So just a few things that I often reach for, but that also look quite pretty on the wall up there. So coming around from my machines, which are over there, you have this area of my sewing room, and this is just a chest of drawers, and I'll show you what's in the drawers in a moment. But on top of the chest of drawers I have some containers over here with just pens, marking tools, and my scissors and snips and things. Just an easy reach of my sewing space. I have my overlocker threads, and I have those in a little Lazy Susan so I can reach for those easily when I need them. And then up here I have some patterns that are inspiring me at the moment or that I want to sew soon. I have an embroidery I did of my Sew Amelia logo, and then over here I have an embroidery that I did during the pandemic. We all stayed at home, indeed we did. And then over here I have the first cross stitch I did when I was about 8, I think, with my mum. And then I have my starch and my ironing sprays and things ready for when I need to do some ironing. And then another pin tray. I tend to keep one pin tray on my ironing board, one pin tray on my desk, and then I can pin whilst I'm ironing, and then I've got a place to put the pins when I'm taking them out, and I tend to swap those back and forth as I need to. So in the first drawer of the desk I just have a variety of little bits of sewing bits and pieces. I have my tailor's ham and my sleeve ham. I have my poppers, my prim tool and my poppers. I have loop turners and pressing things and swimmer elastic. I have measuring tools and hand sewing tools in this one. In this are my labels that I use, and also I use that when I'm pressing. This is my little technology drawer with various bits and pieces in that. I have my knicker elastic and my underwear sewing bits and pieces in there. Buttons, various little tools for making covered buttons. I've got my fray check, my buttonhole opening tool, and then in here I have Nurofen, obviously vital in a sewing room. I have also got my paintbrushes and things for cleaning my overlocker, changing my needle, threading my overlocker, so just various bits and pieces in there. And then at the very back I have my interfacing back here all rolled up and neat and tidy. So that's that first drawer. It looks a bit of a hodgepodge of things, but it is organised. Then in these two drawers I just have my fabric stash, and I will go through that at the end. So that's tidy away in there. Those are mostly fabrics for my daughter. And then in the bottom drawer these are more fabrics for me. Now a lot of these are leftover remnants of garments I've already made, especially over here. But I've got enough length in them to make something else should I want to at some point, so I leave them in the stash. So this is another corner of my sewing room, and again I've just used furniture that was already here in our guest room. This did have lots of lovely cards and things from local fabric shops, places where I've ordered fabric from, but it has already been cleared, ready for me to move my things down to the lounge. But before I clear out the bookcase I thought I would show you what's in here. I have some of my sewing books and magazines in here that I refer to fairly frequently, and then this is where I store some of my paper patterns. I'm hoping to get a bit more storage for these. This box really is very full of patterns. And then over here, this is where I keep some of my bigger elastics that I use for waistbands of trousers and things. And then up here, when I make headbands, that's where I keep the base of those headbands. So moving down the bookcase, this is where I keep, I've got ribbons in this box here and buttons in here. It's everyone that needs a button tin. And then in these clear storage trays, I just keep various things. So this one has my smaller elastics in it. This one has ribbons and trims. In this one, I keep my bias tape and my like Bondo web for hems and things, and some piping things that I use for my daughter's dresses. And then in this one, I love to keep all my laces for my daughter's dresses again, so they're nice and organized so I know where they are when I need them. And then in the bottom one here and beside I have my zips. So they are again busting out of that box. There's too many of them, so I've just got some of them sitting beside there. And then you'll just be able to see here my not particularly organized now patterns. So I do, when I print out my patterns, I put them in these plastic wallets because it just keeps them really nicely. And then I usually put on the top here what the pattern is, and then I file those away in here. I have also used paper envelopes before, but I prefer the see-through ones so you can very quickly see what your pattern is that you're working with. And then I file those away, usually alphabetically in here, but like you can see I'm running out of space, and because I'm moving down to the lounge for a while I wasn't too concerned about filing those away for the meantime. I will sort that out hopefully with a bit more storage in my new sewing room. And then in the shelf below this shelf, I won't show you now, but they're the same, it looks exactly the same, but they are my children's patterns. So that's how I organise those patterns in my sewing room. Right, so I'm here in front of my chest of drawers, and I just thought before I finish the video I'll show you a few of the fabrics that I do have in my stash that I'm hoping to work from this year. Now, I do try and buy less fabric often than a pattern recommends and to eke out what I can out of the fabric, but I still have found myself from time to time left with large remnants of fabric. Now, rather than put those in a box somewhere else where I'm just going to forget about them, I do put them back in the drawer. So I think my stash looks a lot bigger than it actually is. I definitely have a lot of fabric in here, well I feel like I have a lot of fabric in here, and I certainly want this year to work through some of those remnants and make some more garments from what I've got left over in my drawer. So before I get started on what I've got in the drawers, I thought I would show you a couple of pieces of fabric that have arrived this week. The first is from Hey Sew Sister, and it's this beautiful cotton poplin with beautiful flowers on it. Now I have bought this one before, so you might recognize it, and I've bought another length of it to make a dress for my niece for her birthday in June. I saw it on Hey Sew Sister's website and I loved it so much the first time I sewed it that I couldn't resist buying a little bit more. So I'll put a link to that in the description box below. Then the next fabric that has arrived recently is this beautiful sand-washed viscose from Namazi Fabrics. I mean, look at that colour. This is a colour that I absolutely adore, and I've actually bought this for an Amelia project that I'm going to work on with my friend who is Amelia Allen over on Instagram, but she's also got her own YouTube channel. So if you haven't yet checked her YouTube channel out, I'll pop a link to that in the description box below. She's got wonderful videos over on her channel already, so do pop over and give her a watch. But we are planning on making a dress together, and we've both bought different colorways of this gorgeous sand-washed viscose. I used the black colorway of this to make our Amelia bomber jackets, and I loved it so much, well we both did, that we thought we needed to use another colourway of it for something else, so that's the plan for this one. So I'll start with the fabrics that I've got for myself. These are both remnants actually, and back in the summer I bought these two different ribbed jerseys from Hey Sew Sister, and I made a Zoe dress from this one and I made a Blommer tank, I think, by Paradise Patterns from this one, and I love both of them, but I do have a good amount left over. What I thought I would probably do is make a dress for my daughter out of this one for the summer. Or I would really like to try the Albi Textiles Wayland tank, and I'm not sure about the size of that one, so I could use these for a toile later on in the summer. So those are staying in my stash for now, although I don't have a firm plan for them because, again, I seem to have a lot more left over than I thought I would. So next, I've got this beautiful Nerida Hansen geometric sort of block print cotton. Now, I bought this with a skirt in mind, but I just never made it, and I don't know why, because I absolutely love this fabric, but I feel like it needs to be a dress or a skirt where I'm not going to break up the pattern so much because it's such a lovely big geometric print. So that one is definitely on my list of things to look at sewing up this year because I do still love it. I love those colours. You can see on the back it's got that lovely blue that I really like. Whether I make a top from it or a dress, I'm not sure now, but that's one that I'd like to get sewn up this year. Now, I'm not going to be able to put links to all of these fabrics in the description box, unfortunately, because I've forgotten where I got some of them, and I suspect some of them won't be in stock anymore, even if I do remember where I bought them from. Now, this is a beautiful linen that I bought. I think it's a viscose linen, actually, quite a while ago, and I thought I would make a Rosary Apparel hazel dress from this one. I didn't get that made up in time for the summer, and so it's just gone back into my stash. I'm not sure this really feels like me anymore in terms of making a dress. It is a beautiful fabric, but I'm not 100% sure about making the hazel dress from this. I might make a different dress, or I might just wait and hold off and see. I absolutely love making the Hey June handmade apron over Christmas for a gift for my sister-in-law, and I did wonder about making another apron from this as a gift for somebody else. So again, that's staying in my stash, but I would like to get that one sewn up as well. Now this is a viscose that I got in a So Hayley Jane box, and again it's just one that I did love. I don't subscribe to the box anymore because I just found I wasn't getting through all of the fabrics and it was stressing me out a little bit, but I did love this one and I just haven't sewn it up yet. I'd love to make the Forget Me Not Patterns Valerie dress again, and that looked so pretty in a viscose, so that's one idea for this fabric. But viscose is such a versatile, beautiful fabric. I'm sure there are many things I could make from this, and I do really love the colour and the swatchy print on that, so that is another one I would like to get sewn up at some point soon. Now this fabric, it's quite hard to see on the camera, is one I've had in my stash for quite a long time. It's a Merchant & Mills seersucker, and I absolutely love it, but I think it's one of those fabrics that I love it so much I'm a bit scared to sew it up, and I'm not entirely sure what pattern to use. I did think I would use the free pattern from Peppermint magazine. It's got the big puffed sleeves, I think it's got buttons down the back. I'll put it along the bottom if I can find it. But then I did see quite mixed reviews of that pattern, so then I wasn't sure. I might make the new Craft House Everyday top in this one because I think it would hold the shape of those sleeves beautifully. I don't think I've got very much. I think I've got about 1.5 meters, so I'm not sure if I would get the new Craft House top out of this. So hence why this has been in my stash for quite a long time. I'm just not exactly sure now what to make with it. So another fabric that's been in my stash for a long time is this denim. It's a lovely weight denim that I originally bought for making the Dawn jeans, and then I just got scared about making trousers and didn't do it. So it's still sitting in my stash. I'm not sure what to make with it. It's a lovely, like I said, lovely weight of denim. It's not too heavy, but it is substantial enough to make those Dawn jeans. It's quite a light denim as well, which I'm just not sure about, but if anything, I can make a toile up in this and at least get it out of my stash. It wasn't very pricey from memory. I think I bought quite a reasonably priced denim for my first pair of trousers, so it's not that I'm scared to cut into it, I'm just a bit nervous about fitting trousers. But yes, if I work up the courage in 2023, I will get this out of my stash and into a pair of jeans, which would be great. Now the other fabrics that are in here are all remnants from projects that I have previously made. I've got some ribbed jerseys, I've got this beautiful dead stock that I bought from Sew Me Sunshine with all of the animals in it, and I made a Stylark Ariana dress from this. I've got some swimwear fabric, I have some ribbing, I have various cotton jersey offcuts. So I've shown you the ones that I have like 2.5 meters of, or 1.5 meters, so the length I originally bought. Those are the ones I've just shown you now, the ones that haven't yet been used. But the others are all, there's enough there to make something, but I just don't know what. And so I've left them in the drawer for now, but I may need to just put them in a box for a while and come back to them later. So in this drawer, you can see I have the offcut of my new Craft House Everyday dress that I made. Now the reason I've put it in this drawer is that there's not enough to make a garment for myself, but there's definitely enough here to make perhaps a skirt for my daughter, or a little pinafore or summer sort of sundress for her. And again, this fabric was one that I used to make the Made by Ray geranium dress, and there's definitely enough here to make her something else. So again, I've left that in the drawer here. Then I've got these 3 beautiful fabrics that I bought from Sew Me Sunshine. So they're different colorways of the same print. Now, I think people have recognized this. It does look very similar to a Liberty print, but these were not, I believe. And they were just a cotton poplin that is just beautiful to work with. It feels quite lightweight, and my daughter loves wearing her. I made her a dress in this one. I've made her a skirt in this one. I have plenty left over. I couldn't resist those colors, and I'd even love to try and make something that's sort of a color blocked garment at some point. But in the meantime, these are in her drawer. Then I have this raincoat fabric that I bought at one of the stitching shows. I think it was the Stitch Festival last year. It's a beautiful raincoat fabric. Now her raincoat still just about fits, so I haven't made this up yet, but I have got the pattern and I've got this fabric ready to make her a raincoat, perhaps for next spring, but we'll just see. So next I've got this beautiful cotton that I bought from the Knitting and Stitching show. I absolutely loved that navy base, and I'd love to make her a smock dress in this perhaps for next winter. I just think that navy base is so beautiful, and I could pick it out with some sort of pink smocking I think would look really, really pretty. So I'd love to make that for a winter dress. Then I've got some brushed cotton because I love to make her nighties. She didn't need any more this winter, so I've put this aside for next winter. I actually used this to line her Arfie coat that I made her a couple of years ago now, but there's enough again to make something else, so I've held on to that. And then I bought this when I was in York, so I bought this from Socializing, I think it was called, in York, because they had some lovely colours of brushed cotton. So I've got that ready for next winter. Now then, I've got this beautiful blue, very fine cotton that I bought from the House of Smocking. Now, you will know from my last week's video that one of my plans in 2023 is to make a dress by hand for my daughter. Now, whether or not I use this fabric, I'm not sure. I don't think there's a huge amount of it left. I did use some of it to make the underdress for her blue dress that I made back in the summer, her vintage McCall's dress. So I'm not sure how much of this I've got left, but it's such a lovely light cotton. I could make her a lovely little sundress, or I wondered about making her a shirred sundress in this actually. I think it would sheer up really, really beautifully and make a very sweet little sundress. Now the last fabric is my favourite. Now if you've seen my videos before, you'll know I made my daughter a nutcracker dress at Christmas, which was also by the same fabric designer, which is, I think, Sarah Jane Fabrics. I'll put a link to it below. Look at this. You can just see the procession and all the different characters. I just think that is so sweet. So this is a border print fabric, and I think it was called Magic Parade or Magical Parade, and I bought, I think, 2.5 or 3 meters of this just because I knew, because it was a border print, I was going to need a bit more to work with. And it's a cotton poplin. It feels quite like a weighty cotton, but I just adore that. Now I do love that McCall's vintage dress because I love the way that it allows a border print to really go right around the dress without being broken up. So that's one that I might use for this, but I just haven't had the courage to cut into it yet because it's so pretty. But that might be a great one for a birthday party dress perhaps. Not this year I don't think, but I've got plenty that I can wait to make it for her when she's a little bit older. And then the last fabric I showed in a video a couple of weeks ago now, and this is the one I bought in Spotlight, and I'm saving this to make some t-shirts for my sons in the summer. So again, that's not everything that was in this drawer, because a lot of the fabric is offcuts and remnants like this one from garments that I've made for myself, where there's not enough for me to wear, but there is possibly enough for my daughter to wear. So the drawers again look quite full. That's just because I can't get rid of remnants, and I keep everything that's a decent length in case I can get another garment out of it. Obviously smaller offcuts I keep for pocket bags and things, but these, there's just a bit much to save for that. Enough for like a small skirt or a garment for her, so that's what's in this drawer. Thank you so much for joining me today for this video. I do hope you enjoyed seeing my sewing room. It's a bit strange, I know, sharing it with you now just as I'm about to move downstairs, but I thought it would be nice to see perhaps a before and an after of what my sewing room looks like now versus hopefully what it will look like in a few months' time. So yes, next week I'll be coming to you from a slightly different vantage point, I think. But yes, if you enjoyed the video, please do leave it a like. It really helps me to know what content you are enjoying. So if you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I would so appreciate it if you would do that as well. So I shall see you in next week's video, and in the meantime, I hope you have a lovely week ahead full of lots of happy sewing, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.